pre-roll. Totally good. Well, fetching the stream. May take a few moments. Thank you, Facebook, for your upper hand on things. Hey guys, welcome to Vanishing Gates. I'm Jay, your host in the strange and the unexplained, the unapologetic, and probably the very confusing. I am joined today by
Hunter.
Yeah. And he is a what major?
Physics, with a concentration in astronomy.
Concentration in astronomy. It's like took all the juice and shook it up.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
What's your goal in life, man? Tell me already.
My goal is to work at NASA, and I would like to be a pilot.
A pilot? You don't want to be a rocket surgeon. You just want to be a pilot.
A pirate? Yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Rocket pirate,
space pirate.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So your goal is to get in there and actually pilot the shuttles?
Yeah, I once I get done with my bachelor's, I haven't decided if I'm going to get a master's, but I probably should do that soon since I'm a junior. But whenever I finish with my degree, I'm going to hopefully get LASIK and then get a pilot's license, and then
So you get an eyesight.
Yeah, I have.
vision there?
Yeah, I wear contacts. I have pretty bad vision, so unfortunately, you have to have good vision. I don't know why, but you have to have good vision to fly these multi-million-dollar rockets. So
Really? Because
yeah, I never would have guessed either.
I don't know. NASA has a real bang-up job on hiring folks that can figure stuff out. Have you considered an engineering degree on the side just to help out?
Well, that's the thing. Luckily, if I don't want to be an engineer, but whenever I get my bachelor's in physics, I can always just get a master's in engineering. They kind of you can
fall in place.
You can do one without the other.
So just don't be a doctor or a teacher on a shuttle and you're fine.
I could not be a doctor.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That is not possible.
I mean, you can get a doctorate.
Yeah, but that's not.
But not a physical doctor.
I don't like it. Not that there's anything wrong with being proud of having a doctorate, but it's like I don't want to be like, is there a doctor in the house? And he's like, yeah, I'm a doctor. Okay,
what kind of doctor are you?
Geology,
mix jet fuel.
Right? Yeah, that's not going to help me, buddy.
All right, so I want you on the show today. I had you on the show today. I wanted you on the show today to talk about some of the interesting things, the paranormal and unexplained, the weird, the strange, the astronomical. I want to talk about space travel because you're going to be smarter than this than I am because you math well. I don't math at all.
Math well. I do try.
You know. So the first thing I want to talk about, your goal is to work for NASA. So you want to be not a rocket surgeon, but a rocket pilot.
Yeah. Or space pirate or butt pirate, whatever we're calling here.
Or butt pirate, Jesus Christ. Hi, Emily in chat. How are you? Anyway, so do you believe in aliens?
Well, yeah, of course. I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can be a physicist and not. You know.
Okay, so what do you think about aliens in general? Like, I know there's like the green-eyed and the reptilians and all that stuff. Green skin, big-eyed. I always saw that growing up. I saw that stupid book, Whitley Strieber. And okay, I don't mean stupid book. Don't hate me. Communion, the book that I call it stupid because it gave me nightmares. The Whitley Strieber book, Communion, talking about when he got abducted and had the big-eyed green guy on the front cover, the big head and green. Have you ever seen that at all?
What book?
Whitley Strieber's Communion.
I have not.
Okay, well, that basically the cover of this book had a gray alien. Is what they call it, a gray. The big eyes and the green skin and whatnot. I don't know why they call it gray when it's green. It's because I'm colorblind. But
actually, I'm colorblind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very colorblind.
Well, good.
I'm not gonna.
It could be great us.
How are you gonna ride a rocket if you're colorblind? They tell you can't even fly a plane that way.
Space is black. I think I'll be okay.
The control panels aren't.
Anything that's not. I can drive a car.
I had to actually get certified by an optometrist before I get my physical for my DOT.
Oh.
Because I'm that colorblind.
Wow. Okay, I'm not that colorblind.
Yeah, like camouflage doesn't work on me. I'm that colorblind. Anyway, so Whitley Strieber had this book about communion. It had the big gray-headed alien. It looked like a guitar pick kind of with big eyes.
Okay. I'm listening.
Yeah,
I haven't read or watched or whatever this is. I'm not a huge fan of like well, for one, I'm not a huge fan of reading. Anything like fictional, and unfortunately, I just don't get interested in it. I'll watch the movie.
But this is his account. His account of alien abduction.
But where would we find this in like the library? Is it going to be in like
yes
biographies or is this? I know it's not going to be a nonfiction.
Biographies. It would be in either nonfiction or unexplained.
I'll-
It's
I'll-
actually there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's well treated as a work of actuality.
Oh, okay.
My
well,
mouse is moving.
yeah, I
sorry.
was curious about that.
Emily says she doesn't like reading in chat either.
It's not fun. It's I'd much rather watch the movie.
I like reading. It's nice.
I guess. I mean, like I'll read like articles and stuff or short biographies, emphasize on the short. I'm not going to read 150 pages about somebody, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, this is more than 150 pages.
Okay, then yeah, that's
And
even
it's a lot of
beyond the scope of my imagination of what I think I could
So
manage.
when it comes to aliens, what do you think? Are they here? Do you think they're
I think on Earth, you mean, or
yeah,
like
they're
in
hanging
our
out,
star
they're chilling?
system?
Because
Or
I'm a big fan of the Fermi paradox.
you're
like-
a fan of that?
I believe in that. I think that's
So you think that there's a great filter? Like
the Fermi paradox.
the Fermi paradox,
Yeah,
like
there's a
if
great filter of time and space.
Well,
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
No. You're cool. I'm trying to understand. Like when you say you believe in it, do you mean like?
I agree with the concept. I think that we have a. So I'm more likely to believe there's interdimensional beings that are showing up than
That's reasonable.
extraterrestrial beings, if that makes any kind of sense.
Well, the thing is that the way. Okay, so
Again, I don't math well.
the fastest we've ever gone is what is it? I don't remember the exact number. I think it's like 11 kilometers a second or something. It was Voyager 1. I mean, and the closest star system to us is like 4 light years away, between 2 and 4, depending on what part. But like so the fastest that we can go or get there would take, at our current technology, would take like 100,000 years. So it's like, I see where you're coming from. Like it would be more reasonable that they could come from another dimension rather than come from really far away. Because space is massive. We're part of a local group of galaxies that is, we're in a local group of 30 galaxies that is in a supercluster of 50, a little over 50, which itself is 500 million light years across, and there are 10 million superclusters within the observable universe. So it'd be really hard to think that we could go anywhere near the edge of the universe or anywhere near wherever these aliens are anytime soon if we don't change the way that we think,
And they say dentists are uptight and sad and depressed.
It's
Jesus.
the only way that we can find aliens or aliens can find us is if they travel interdimensionally.
Okay, so we agree.
So yeah, but but it's all the same thing, you know what I mean? You can come from really far away but also travel interdimensionally.
So you're familiar with the Fermi paradox?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so can you explain to the layman?
Well, the Fermi paradox just basically says that if there are so many, we both know.
So to clarify, guys, if you're not paying attention, Fermi was not a ufologist. He was a physicist and a mathematician.
He worked at some of the. He was
well respected.
Yeah, no, he was, and he worked at some of the largest satellite like arrays in the world. And this was one of the conversations. This is what do they call it? Where you like talk together at a lunch table, like you sit down on. I don't know. There's a word for that, but basically, this is a normal conversation for this guy, and he sits down and he's like, "Well, if there's all these aliens, then where the hell are they?"
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's just like if we live in a galaxy with somewhere between 1 and 400 billion stars, and only 0.0001% of them have life on them, then we're still looking at millions and millions of possible places that could have intelligent life. So if the numbers are there, even the odds aren't in our favor. Like, where are the aliens at? So his way of thinking is that there must be some great filter that stops them from reaching us or getting to the point where they can reach us. So whether that be biological or like whenever we almost had nuclear war, we could have made ourselves go extinct. So it could be a factor of many different things. It could be disease. It could be them killing themselves with war. It could be, something that they had no control over, like a supernova or something.
See, I always thought it was filtered by time. That was my misconception, I guess.
Well, I mean,
that was a great filter is that we
think
would be extinct before.
Well, no, that's
or
the
vice versa.
yeah, no. I mean, yes, you're right because there's that. I mean, if there was aliens on Mars, we would just, we could just fly right on over there. But it's taken us 2,000 years to get to the point where we can do that. You know what I mean? We're not talking about like BC and all that stuff. Like 2,000 years of recorded history
Yeah.
to do that. So, if in 2,000 years we can only go to like Mars, then the odds of us or any other civilization, unless they're just way smarter than us, being able to travel from other star systems is just absurd. You know what I mean?
So to clarify, in 2,000 years, it took us that long to get to Mars a little bit. But in 20 years, you can check out a chick's butthole instantly on your phone. Maybe our priorities are incorrect.
That's true. Yeah. Well, our priorities are
We're selfish.
Well, it's also hard to say what we have and haven't done too, Like, yeah, the general public knows that we can go to Mars, and it's taken us 2,000 years to get there. Now, don't get me wrong, between the Industrial Revolution and where we are now, we have advanced very quickly. So, if we keep going exponentially, then maybe within a few hundred lifetimes we can hit to the, we can get to the point where we that are far enough away to find life.
What do you think about like the idea that we are actually reversed from where we were before? We've lost time. Like back in the day, our ancestors were technologically advanced like us, and we've been reset.
Oh, you mean like ancient aliens type thing?
Yeah, some kind of like Sokolos kind of thing.
I don't
think so either.
No, I don't go in that direction. I'm not saying that it's unreasonable, but I just feel like maybe if that was the case, we're advanced enough now to where we would be able to detect these things. I would like to think that because if they're gonna, so if there was an alien race that's like super smart, and then they just ditched the idiots off here, and then they were like, all right, just deal with yourselves, and then they came and checked on us every now and again, like they say, like with the Egyptians and all that stuff. If that was the case, I feel like A, they would probably have came back by now, and B, we probably would have noticed.
So if we were stargating or fifth elementing, we wouldn't be where we're at right now.
What do you mean?
Have you never seen Stargate?
Like
Fifth Element?
where they jump through the little portals
and the aliens come back all the time to check on us and fix everything. I don't buy it. I just can't.
No, I don't buy it either. I think that we are us. You know.
I don't think that we're created by some alien species. I'm going to piss people off with this, but I just don't feel that way.
I mean, I don't either. But it's not. It's not an unreasonable thought, but the thing is that everything's up in the air. You know what I mean? Just because, I mean, I don't believe it. I don't believe that that's the case. But it's not like we know so little about the universe that it's not like it's totally unreasonable to think that's possible.
Well, yeah, we have the opposite, the option of alternate universes as well. And I was talking to somebody earlier, like, how do you know that this universe has a direct, because we hear the multiverse kind of thing and the crossover, because we talk about the interdimensional stuff, like we talk about the alien travelers and whatnot, which I'm more inclined to believe that is an interdimensional thing. But how do we know this universe has a pseudo-identical universe? It's not quite there, but how do we even know that? It wouldn't make any sense we're boxing it in our human brains. It doesn't make sense.
Well, that's more of what it is that we're trying to process something that we can't mentally understand. But that's where quantum mechanics comes. Are you familiar with quantum mechanics?
Not enough. So here you go, sir.
Well, quantum mechanics is a really difficult field that I'm not trying to claim to be an expert in either. People study their whole lives and they can't explain a lot of things. But the general thing is that on a quantum level, things, I want to say like particles. So it's hard to describe, but like basically Schrodinger's cat. Have you ever heard of Schrodinger's cat?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're familiar with, he puts the cat in the box, and then he has some sort of tool. It doesn't actually happen, but it's a thought experiment. But there's a cat in a box. There's something that could kill it, and at the end of an hour, you say, is the cat dead or alive? And you're inclined to believe that it's either dead or alive. But in the quantum world, that cat is both dead and alive at the same time.
I think Gary Larson did it better. He had an old comic that said, "If a tree falls in a forest and hits a mime, does anyone care?" That's the best Schroeder's cat ever.
Is that what? Well, that's good.
It's a little less intense, but same concept.
Still pretty intense. But basically, on a quantum level, things don't photons don't decide what to do until we interact with them, until we look at them. Not even interact with them, until we observe them. So this is a real test that happened. The scientists would shoot photons through photon gun, whatever they do. And
Photon gun.
So there's two slits. Behind the slits is some paper that lights up whenever the photon hits it. Okay, and you shoot the photons and you try to get the pattern to see if they interact as a particle or a wave. Well, whenever you shoot them through, you get they shoot through like a particle, but they create a wave pattern on the photo paper in the back. Okay, but if you try to observe them and you use a detector, you put a detector over one of the slits. Surely enough, 50% of the time, that detector goes off, and it's like, okay, so if the detector didn't go off, it went through the other slit. And whenever you observe the paper on the back, it no longer looks like a wave. It looks like a particle. But if you leave the detector there and you turn it off, you're not actually observing them, but it looks like you are, it goes back to a wave. So I'm not very good at explaining things, but the moral of the story is that the universe doesn't decide what it wants to do until we look at it. So nothing ever actually happens until we observe it.
Well, for us anyway.
No. In the quantum world, nothing happens until we observe it. Not even in like our minds or anything like that. That's the moral of the story, is that those particles didn't act like particles until they knew that we were watching. And then the moment we stop watching, they go back to acting like waves. This is a real thing. I forget the name of the experiment.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just
no.
Perplexed.
It's insane to man. I wish I knew the name of the experiment. But if you just look up like photon or electron gun slits, it's gonna be on Google somewhere. But the point is that even if the detector's there, if it's turned off, the photons go back to acting like waves.
Even if you're just not watching it, or
even if you can't see it with the naked eye. So the only way you can tell is either from the pattern on the back wall where it hits, or from the detector looking at each slit as it passes through. And without the detector, it creates a wave pattern on the back wall. But with the detector, you can see each photon going through you can see the photon going through whichever slit you have the detector on. And then on the back wall, it'll do like, it doesn't have a wave. It looks like a particle. But then once you can leave the detector there, turn it off, and it goes back to looking like a wave.
So are we causing this disturbance?
We are. That's well, yes and no. Like, we are only by observing it. Nothing and everything is in every possible state and no possible state at the same time. And only whenever we observe it does it change into something. Does it actually pick a state? Everything is in superposition. That book right there is, right now, it is on fire, or it is not, or it is whatever else it could be. It's every possible position it could be in at the exact same time. And I think that's where it falls into the multiverse theory, is that we have multiverses of every possible position and every possible state of anything at the same time.
That's a little bigger than my head.
Well, it's really
it's a lot bigger than my head.
It's a little difficult to explain, and I'm not the best teacher.
No, it's not a bad explanation. I kind of get it. I just don't get all.
Well,
of it.
I just think that's where the whole, like, I'm not saying that there are multiple universes, but I'm not saying there's not either, because I don't know any other way that it could make sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. Ish. What do you think about the Mandela effect that bleeds into this kind of concept?
That definitely bleeds into this kind of concept.
This is the exact bleed in.
Yeah,
see, it's a good seg.
It is a great segue. This is perfect. Look, it's like one of the probably one of the, well, I guess what it's named after is probably the biggest example of the Mandela effect, when when everybody thought he died in the 80s or whatever. But
Well, a lot of people remembered him being
right. Remember
dead.
him being dead in the 80s, but he ended up dying in what, 2000s? Some, like, I forget when.
Much
He
later
became like the
after.
president and all this.
Yeah, no, he.
Yeah, like he had an entire life, and
Yeah.
the whole time people knew that he was dead. But
And I think Michael Douglas, and then was one of those as well that they thought he died. They remember him dying. He
And
hadn't.
and there's the Bernstein Bears.
Bernstein Bears.
There's the man in the tank man in China. There's all these examples of things happen.
Tank Man in China. What happened with that one?
It was part of a
Talking about
protest.
Tiananmen Square.
I'm not sure.
Well, the guy standing in front of the
For the
tank,
tank,
that ran over
yeah.
in Tiananmen Square in China.
Yeah, but there's right now, if you look it up on YouTube, or at least last time I checked, he didn't get run over.
Well, that could just be the Chinese government not being so proud of running a civilian over.
Well, yeah, but once it gets out, China can't control the rest of the world.
That's kind of true.
Yeah, I mean, depends. But you can't control the internet, no matter who you are.
I don't know.
I don't, you
Folks are trying.
Well, I think that's a different subject. But the point is that everything that we see, there is a universe right now where I poisoned your beer. So there's a universe right now where you don't exist. You're dead.
Are you certain?
I'm certain that happened. If the thought races through your mind, if it's a total, but go ahead and drink it.
This is water.
It's comfortably. Yeah, canned water. That sounds disgusting.
Artisan water. Artisans made this fine water.
Well, so there's an alternate universe that exists with every possibility.
Do you think that they're identical or pseudo-identical to us? So, like, reality-wise, like, is there really, like, how do we know? Because we're boxing this stuff up, like,
I don't think they're identical. Have you ever
or pseudo-identical, like close? I don't even think they're close.
I would like to think that you have seen the Back to the Future movies.
Yeah,
You
I've
have,
seen
okay.
those.
And is it the second one where? Is it the second or? It's the third one's when they were in Wild West, so it's got to be the second
no
one.
one watched West.
Dude, yeah, that one's not that good. But the second one's really good, and Biff gets that almanac, and he goes back and gives it to
That's
his
yeah.
And then it creates an entire alternate timeline where Biff is this millionaire.
Yeah, he's the boss.
Right. So I don't think that they're identical, because in the universe where you're dead because you were poisoned, I'm pretty sure that's a universe where I would be in jail. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but I would say pseudo-identical. Like, I don't mean, like, even kind of close. I don't think that it would even be that.
You just mean the same Earth with the same
even
possibilities.
At the most, I mean,
I guess
on
that
mathematically, think about it. Like, if we are such a strange creation, if this is such a strange concept of us forming life and being in existence where we can podcast and multi-stream and whatnot, like, and do this crap. You can grow your hair out, and I can, drink fine artisan water with a probe on the first date koozie. What are the odds of that? They're super, super small. So even another universe would have a hard time catching up with that, I feel like. Mathematically, I'm not good at numbers, but I think that odds aren't so great that even this would happen even close. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't seem like it would even be a close call. Like, there wouldn't be another universe unless there's bajillions of universes.
There's got to be.
Well, but then the odds of those universes interlapping would be even smaller because...
Who says they interlap?
Well, that's what the Mandela effect idea is.
I see what you mean.
See what I'm saying? Like, It doesn't make sense to me. It's like...
I think it's just more or less... I think it's more or less the Mandela effect. This is going to sound like crazy, but the way I see it is that if there are multiple universes and there is, I don't know, a giant number of different possibilities for every possible outcome, then who's to say that you experienced one while I experienced the other?
So, like, instant...
So you and me experienced
multiverses.
Well, I'm not old enough, but you and me experienced the universe where Mandela died in the 80s, while other people, while the world that we live in,
I'm not that old.
While the world that we live in experienced the one where he died in the 2000s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what the Berenstain Bear ones, like, That I remember that one.
I was too poor for cartoons, so. Well, actually, it was books. But
There were books,
I'm
man.
pretty sure they had
There were
cartoons,
books.
right?
Yeah,
See, that's
there
how poor
was
I was. I was
cartoons.
too poor for the books too.
What
But
a
no, I'm
hard
familiar with it.
row to hoe.
Oh, it's been a long 23 years. But no, I think that maybe I think that if there are an infinite amount of universes and there are infinite amount of possibilities, then what are the odds that what are the odds that they're not entangled together? What if they're not? How are they not touching?
You would think they'd clash, but what are the odds
do.
that we'd have moments in our finite lives? Because at my best, I might live another 25 years or 30 years.
Good. Bump it up a little bit.
No,
I'd like to
I'm
think.
only given that long.
I mean, regardless, I think that hopefully,
Again, I don't
medical
remember well,
advancements.
but yeah, like I'm saying, if I'm lucky, I might live 100 years in this world. I don't know if that's luck.
Yeah, at that age.
Actually, I'll probably live 250 at my
just
rate,
so you could suffer.
Yeah, this is suffraging. But the reality is, what are the odds that in my finite landscape of time, I clash with a universe where something else happens and I'm part of it?
What are the odds?
Yeah, it's super unlikely.
Well, we've talked about 3 so far.
Well, it's super improbable.
But we've talked about 3.
No, we talked about mismemory.
Mismemory?
Yeah.
The Mandela effect is not mismemory, good
A lot
sir.
of it's mismemory.
Good sir.
How do you figure?
It is not. Because I'm positive that I saw the tank man get run over.
I did too.
He wasn't run over, though.
He was. He was dead.
No, he wasn't. You look it up on YouTube.
So, do you know about Orion's Belt,
I mean,
the North Star,
yeah,
to navigate
I'm
the sky?
I'm aware.
The Big Dipper?
What about it?
I'm the only one that knows that.
That the Big Dipper exists?
No, how the star of the North Star, the Big Dipper, and Orion's Belt. How I navigated myself out of the woods when I was a young kid, and now the North Star has changed, the Big Dipper's changed, and Orion's Belt's changed.
Wait. Let's rewind. The North Star changed?
It
Polaris?
changed for me, apparently.
What do you mean?
When I was a kid, I got lost in the woods. My dad took us, me and my brother Jesse, one of my younger brothers. We went camping at the Cougar Reservoir area, and I wandered off into the woods. I navigated kind of back using the North Star and Orion's Belt.
Okay, well, what changed about that? I'm confused.
It's not the same constellation anymore. Whenever I ask anybody what that is, they say it's wrong.
Maybe you sure you're not just misidentifying it?
You just asked me the same. I asked you the same question. Now we're here.
Oh.
We're back in a
Oh,
cyclical. See how that happens?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
weird.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a star map, so I'm not going to say yay, nay where things are. I'm not a
No,
huge. I mean,
Point
I
the
know
star,
that
I see it, and everybody goes, "Oh, you're nuts."
I know that Polaris, the North Star, is still there, and it is not the furthermost North Star, but it
It's
is
also
the
changed
brightest.
many times. But
What do you mean?
Polaris hasn't always been Polaris. The North Star in history hasn't always been the North Star.
What, do they change names on it, or they just
No,
pick
there's some
different
kinda
stars?
Like it's
'Cause
mythology.
It's like
but in our lifespan, it's been the same thing.
It's one of the most northern
Hypothetically.
stars, and it is
Yeah.
it is one of the brightest,
star.
stars.
Yeah.
So that's why people use it as the North
Mhm.
Star. But
And I used that and got back to where I needed to go. And now everyone says, "Oh no, it's not the same thing."
well, I think
And that's not Orion's Belt.
I think that well, I mean, you bring me outside at night, and I probably
It could be because I have a astigmatism, maybe.
I have
don't know.
astigmatism
As a
too.
kid, it worked.
I think we both have pretty bad eyes, so maybe
It's
constellations
pretty
aren't.
good.
our-
I have great night vision. I'm
Oh, do you?
colorblind. Yeah.
You have great night
Excellent
vision,
night
but you're
vision.
colorblind.
Yes.
Those kind of seem. I don't know.
How is that counterintuitive?
It just kind of seems that way because when it's dark outside, doesn't everything look?
You need less color at night,
So,
unless you're driving.
well, 9 times out of 10, if I'm outside at night and I need to be able to make sure that I'm like seeing accurately, it's because I'm behind a wheel. and I
No,
don't
no, no.
wanna
My
run
colorblindness
somebody
is
over.
great.
Well, good. I'm happy
it's
for
when
you.
when the
But
lights
you also have
hit my
astigmatism
face.
too, so that
Yeah, I didn't know that everybody didn't see stars around lights.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
know
what
that
messes
either.
me up.
I found that out.
Yeah, that was recent for me. That was like in the last 2 months. I was like, oh, not everyone sees stars around lights. That's different.
Yeah. Well, it's been longer than 2 months.
I just found that out recently. I can drive if there's no one approaching me, I can just drive, see everything.
So, well, back on topic, all of these things seem to go together a bit, don't you think? The fact that there could be multiple universes and that every possibility is a possibility and that there could be aliens, but they have to come from another dimension or universe. You know what I'm saying?
Unless they're here already.
It all seems sandwiched together. I wouldn't say that they're not.
Maybe we're all just paranoid.
They're definitely on the moon. I'll say that.
You think the moon
they
is
are
not
on
an
the
actual
moon.
like?
No, it's real. I don't buy that whole it's a fake moon thing.
So okay, let's do this because this is gonna be good. Because I've been wanting to mess with people for a while. By mess with, I mean prove a point. I like to troll people with the flat Earth thing. I know it's not flat. I'm not retarded. Please explain to us why the Earth is not flat.
Please explain why it's not flat.
Oh God, he's a flat earther.
No, I'm not. I'm not a flat earther. Not in the slightest bit. Well, the same reasons everybody else gives. The way gravity is distributed, as the closer and closer you get to the edge or the ice wall or whatever they call it. No offense to conspiracy theorists to believe in it. It's just completely. It doesn't go with anything.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. But the farther and farther you go out of the center, the heavier gravity gets. So it's like people closer to the center of the Earth would experience. It would be I don't know what versus like what we experience now 1G. I don't know the ratio, but they would experience lighter gravity than someone all the way at the edge near the ice wall. It would get increasingly harder and harder and harder to walk as you got farther out.
Well, that's why the government keeps people away from the ice wall.
Yeah, right. That's why they direct the flights and they just fly you around in circles for 12 hours.
And Australia doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, it doesn't exist.
Florida doesn't need the competition.
What did you say?
Florida doesn't need the competition with Australia. What? Florida man's always in the news.
Oh.
Australia man's always in the news.
Well, I don't think it's much of a competition.
Crap.
I love Florida news.
I mean, they're fun.
They're fun. It's
Florida man news stories are.
I mean, you can have like trivia on that. News radio shows have what's real and what's fake, and all of the news stories are like just fucking absurd. And then one of them turns out to be true. Like there was a guy the other day who got so upset he beat his wife with a propane tank. Like who does that? How?
I don't mean to laugh.
No, that's not cool to beat her. But I'm saying like, why is that your weapon of choice?
That's why I laughed. Who the fuck chooses a propane tank?
Right.
Must have been the closest thing.
That guy.
God damn it. All right, let's talk about some ghosts. What do you think about the human spirit? Because, energy doesn't go away, they say. I don't say that, but some people say that energy just sticks around.
Well, energy has mass.
Yeah, I think energy has mass.
And mass can neither be created nor destroyed.
I would say that energy, as it goes, it dissipates the longer it travels. Is that wrong?
Here's a little experiment. Whenever people, say you got a guy, he's like 600 pounds, okay? He needs to lose some weight. So he starts exercising. Where do you think that goes? As he loses weight, where do you think that weight goes?
It depends.
What do you mean?
Well,
9 times out of 10, what are people going to say whatever you ask them? What happens to those calories that you burn?
Well, you burn it up with your body.
And it
dispenses gets food to your muscles.
So you say it turns into energy, right?
Well, it depends on what you're burning off. Some doesn't. Alcohol doesn't turn into energy.
Excuse me, sir. Please directly answer the question.
Well, I am.
What?
I'm not a politician, man. I can't.
You have to give me something here. I'll fast
I'm running for Congress, guys, in case you're wondering. Vote for Jay.
9 times out of 10, they're going to say that energy is burned, or that those calories are burned up and turned into energy, right? You've heard that a lot, correct?
Yeah, it's a little horseshit.
It is a load of horseshit. That actually 80% of fat is breath. It's water vapor in the air.
Well, yeah, you burn off in sweat and breathing.
Right. But I've also turned that into energy to use to move. So how can it be both?
Oh, you're being all kinetic on me.
That's because energy has mass. And regardless of how it's used, spent, whatever, that mass is still there because you can't destroy it. It may be transferred, but you can't destroy it. So I don't believe I don't know if this is where you were going, but I don't believe that your spirit has mass, or your spirit just.
I do.
When you're gone, you believe that your spirit has mass, and it's.
Well, I was a
over with?
mortician.
What is? You're gonna have to elaborate.
Well, okay, so there was an argument that, it's been disproved that when you die, you lose X amount of
way
mass.
less.
It's a little horseshit. It's not been disproven. Anybody that's worked in the mortuary industry knows that when a person dies, they lose X amount of weight.
That is true. No, that's totally true.
And the weight does vary depending on... And we're talking about, guys, these are scales that keep your poop in, so don't worry. It's not what you ate for breakfast. People that have certain hang-ups actually weigh heavier than people that don't.
Hang-ups, what do you mean?
Like people that are addicts to things and whatnot. There's a larger volume of weight versus people that don't.
Okay, so, well, I'm not saying that the weight doesn't change, because the weight does change. I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that it doesn't disappear.
It doesn't go away forever.
It's not gone. It's not gone. And
are you saying people have souls?
I don't want to. I'm not gonna preach on the show, but
we're not preaching. We're just talking about spirits.
Well, I believe that people have souls, but the thing is that I don't think that those souls / spirits. I don't think that they have mass. I don't think that they do.
I would just say that they don't hang out on Earth too much.
The spirits?
Yeah,
I think they do.
Really?
Not all the time. If they feel like it.
Because the gravity holds them down because of their mass?
It's not that.
You don't say they have?
I don't think it's that. I don't think so.
What do you think keeps them behind? So you do believe there are ghosts that haunt and whatnot. Mm-hmm. What do you think keeps them back?
I don't know.
Is it conscious? I mean, we know consciousness has been... there was I wish I would have saved the study, but recently they've been proving more and more conscious studies, like their human consciousness. And there's something that was posted like 2 or 3 months ago that was like, they're doing a study, blah, who cares? We know we have a conscious. There's a right and a wrong.
Right.
We as a people know that collectively, and that's a strange thing to have as individuals.
Do you mean conscious or consciousness?
Consciousness.
Oh, okay.
So the consciousness and the conscious get together. And you don't think so?
Do they have a beer when they get together?
God, I hope so.
Well,
they need to.
I'm not saying that they don't.
They'd calm down a little more if they did.
I just don't think that... I feel like, if spirits had mass, that's got to come from somewhere, okay? And as people die, the earth doesn't get any lighter. So I know it's not going anywhere. I mean, we don't have a giant scale under the earth, so I can't... Flat earthers, I cannot prove to you right now that is the case, but that is the case. The earth doesn't get any lighter. So, I mean, either if the spirits do have mass, if I am wrong and the spirits do have mass, then every single one of them are just chilling with us right now. Or, which I guess isn't...
I mean, well, also, gas has mass, but it also doesn't necessarily weight down things.
Well,
helium.
Well, yeah, but but we can measure that, though. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that we can't. See, this is where...
I'm just giving you shit now.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you can't, because you say that, whenever people die, and I know whenever people die, they weigh less, but I'm saying that we can't be like, oh, okay, well, that piece, that spirit, that's where that is. Yeah.
There's no way to actually record that or...
Right.
Well, not yet. Anyhow.
Right, exactly.
We don't have any current ability to measure and document.
Right. No, we're on the same page.
So when it comes to ghosts, why do you think people might hang out? Do you think they do it on purpose? Or do you think there's a...
Hell yeah. I think they're pissed off. 9 times out of 10, they're pissed off. We had back
I just
home...
want to fuck with Zach Baggins.
Back home, we had a lot of shit back home in Kentucky. We had the Kelly Green Men. We should talk about that sometime.
Well, right now?
Well, hold on. I got to talk about the ghost.
Right,
You've never heard of that?
Next. No, next. That's the next thing we're talking about.
Okay, well, this is going to be good. But no, we had what was called Little Boy Bridge, and it was like 5-10 minutes from where I lived, and it was just this tiny little bridge. And the legend goes that way back in like the 1950s, 60s, there was a drunk driver that came by and killed a boy fishing with a cane pole. You know what a cane pole is, right? Okay, just making sure. I know where we live.
Here in California,
yeah.
we still have cane poles.
Are there cane poles around here? I haven't seen any cane at all.
No one. We buy fishing rods. We don't.
Yeah, that's why I say that. But anyway, he comes by and kills him, and then so every time you go there, if you go there at the witching hour, which is like 3 a.m., if you go there, he'll fuck with you. And he's fucked with me enough times to know. I've driven by that place, and I've seen dead sheep in the creek that it's over, just chilling in there.
So actually,
I've seen some fucked up shit. I've seen a deer that was totally beheaded, but the spine was still attached to the head, and there was a beagle eating it.
A beagle?
A beagle. Of all dogs.
The most dangerous dog.
Yeah, beagles. Vicious,
beagle.
Man. I know he didn't kill that deer.
Snoopy's done fucking that deer up.
I've been there late at night, and I've heard pounding on the car. One time, we were there, and we were in my friend's car, and he drives the manual, and so luckily, well, I'll get there, but he drives a manual, and the car would not start, and there was a car coming, and it's a 1-lane bridge, and we were afraid we were going to get hit because it's right around a corner and down a hill, so you can't really see if you stop there. Because whenever you stop, you're supposed to turn off your car and lights and everything so you can hear or see or whatever. Well, you can't see much at night, but you can hear.
Yeah.
So, but you're supposed to turn off all that to not to mess with him or whatever, and then you just talk to him. You know how he's supposed to be. But anyway, so we turn off the car, and the whole night, dude, the whole time we were there, he was messing with us. He was banging. We heard what sounded like footsteps. So we could just be crazy, but it seemed like a lot. And then whenever there was a car coming, we heard it coming from a while away, but like I said, it was around a corner and down a hill. So they couldn't see us, and we could not get the car started. It took like 3 or 4 times to get it started, thank God. But we finally got it started just at that point where that car was coming down the hill. So, coincidence?
Maybe
I
not
think
piss that kid off.
Yeah, he's mean. He's violent. Just
So-
ask that deer.
I still think the beagle killed him. So you're from Kentucky, where there's a lot of stories about the hollers and whatnot.
I lived in a holler.
That's Kentucky.
That is Kentucky.
That's all I know about Kentucky.
Hollers and moonshines.
Yeah, you're right.
Moonshiners and tornadoes.
And Irish heritage and moonshine and hollers and mines. A lot of cool stories.
Yeah, we have a lot of mines. A lot of cool mine stories. But I think we should definitely talk about the Kelly Green Men, since you haven't heard of that.
Yes, this I need to hear.
Legend goes, okay, so Kelly is like a little area. It's not incorporated. It's not really even a town or anything, but it's a little area that was about 5-10 minutes in the other direction of where I live, closer to like a bigger city where I went to school. And the population like non-existent. But legend goes, in the 1950s, 60s, I don't remember the year, but I know they had their 50th anniversary not too long ago. So it's probably been like 60-ish years, 65 maybe, I don't know. But anyway, so way back when, there was some guys, dudes working on a farm. It was real late at night. Everybody drinks back home, and they were drunk. They did not say that they were not drunk. So that's where their story starts to get discredited. But basically, an alien saucer landed in the field behind their house, and they came out and they started shooting. The aliens started shooting. So these farmers started shooting back, and it was just like a war zone. And they had called the police, but by the time the police got there, the aliens were gone, of course. But their windows were shot out, their house. But they say that they did it to themselves, which is totally possible. But that's not really the interesting part. The interesting part is that they described them as they kind of. I'm not saying they're the ones that invented the whole 3-4 foot tall green people with big heads, but they're probably, I'd say, one of the pioneers. So, and they described them in so much detail, even for being drunk. And whenever they got there, the cops said that they said they weren't like hammered. They were drinking, but he was coherent enough. He wasn't like
capable.
falling over dead. Yeah, yeah. So it just seems and
Make a podcast.
and the whole town had like the whole town had like no problems with them. They were like, I guess everybody back then probably drank pretty heavily, so it's like,
Probably
but
still do.
but they weren't like a shunned member of the community or anything. And every year in August they have a weekend where they dedicate to the Kelly Green Men, and they have like a festival, and they have like a little miniature UFO in the field where they landed. All that. So it's like
That's awesome.
it's an awesome festival. It really is. But yeah, and it's actually so popular. It's the most popular alien story in Japan. They actually made a Pokemon. They actually made a Pokemon after it.
They made a Pokemon.
Yeah,
after...
it's Salabi. It's like the Pokemon with the little dime. Yeah, I know you don't know, but for those whom want to look it up, I think it's Sableye. There we go. It's got jewels on him and stuff. But that was based off the Kelly Green Men.
That's
Pretty cool, I think.
way cool. I had no idea. I was fresh out of the runnings for that one. There's tons of ghost stories that come out of Kentucky.
No kidding.
Now, else you got from Kentucky?
Well, I'm pretty sure that my house was haunted. We supposedly, the land where my house was built. Well, okay, so we lived in a trailer, so it technically wasn't built, but
Parked.
transported. Yes, transported and had the wheels removed from it.
Removed it.
Where we lived, there used to be a brick house, big brick house that was it had as legend goes, it had like there was a huge family of farmers, which everybody back home's a farmer, so that's not unrealistic. And the parents, and there was like 14 boys, because it's back in the old times when, at least back home, my great grandma had 15 kids, so it's not unreasonable to have a whole bunch of kids.
My mom's one of like 13 or something.
Right,
Like that,
so not unreasonable. So there was like 14 boys and like 3 girls or something, and which that's some luck right there, I guess.
Yeah,
but
my mom's the opposite. One boy out of like 13.
My
or 14.
goodness. But anyway, so
My poor uncle.
while they were gone, the house apparently burned down, and the girls are supposed to still haunt the house. And there was a lot of unexplained stuff when I was a kid. I mean, nothing that's like you won't be able to find with anybody telling any ghost story ever made. Like you see things fall off the wall, all that stuff. But I just thought it was like a load of horse shit until I was digging in the yard, because who doesn't? And I found a brick, and I also found a really, really old timey BB gun. Like, I don't know, I'm not a BB gun expert, so I don't know when it was made, but it was like there was some name for it. I forget what it was called, but it was unlike any gun I'd ever seen. You had to like open up the barrel and put the BB in there like that and pop it back out.
That's a pellet gun, not a BB gun.
Well, regardless, I put BBs in it. But it was super old, and it was made of solid metal. And I had never had a BB gun growing up like that.
Oh, to be young.
Oh, to be me. Yeah, I'm young still.
Damn.
Luckily.
So again, folks, if you're just tuning in, this is a man of science.
Hi.
We are talking about all sorts of stuff. And yeah. I do want to say before we get too far in, because I want to ask you a couple more questions, we are getting close to our 100th episode at Vanishing Gates. Going to be doing a giveaway. What you need to do to get involved in this giveaway: like, follow, share, subscribe. Let us know you did that. Show us you did that. The first recipient, or the first place winner, I guess is the best way to say it, gets a $100 gift card. And then there's 2 other gifts we're giving to the next 2 people. $50 each. I was going to do Xbox gift card, but I think I'm just doing an Amazon gift card. So we'll draw your names and during the live stream. And then you message me, we'll send you the codes. Easy. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Space, ghosts, and physics. Great. So,
That would have been good.
right? I think that's what I'm going to call it. The podcasting parts. All right, so ghosts, man. Like, human energy hanging around. You hear about, like, hauntings that are just... the energy just keeps hanging out and moving around. It's not really a haunting, but it's just residual energy. What do you think about that? Like residual hauntings,
like 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 the
like systematic kind of stuff that happens once a year at this
oh
time. We get this photograph of it's always a white lady in a dress or some shit like that.
oh, is this a real thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, it's like a residual haunting they call it. The residual energy just drafts through.
Well, I'm no paranormal expert,
I feel
but
like that doesn't work.
isn't that is that a haunting or is that considered like a poltergeist?
Well,
'Cause
no, a poltergeist would be different because it comes from the German term noisy ghost.
right.
And most poltergeist activity tends to stream from a young woman in the household on the cusp of womanhood.
Right. No, I know that poltergeists come from like people creating them basically.
The
Not
energy.
you're
You're
right.
pushing off extra
all this
energy.
but aren't they there's got to be a better word because ghosts aren't very systematic.
Well, residual haunting wouldn't be necessarily a ghost. It would just be the energy repeating itself over and over, like a cyclical event.
Does the poltergeist have to come from
Well,
a
I'm
human
not
or
can
can
poltergeist, I'm saying
No. But I'm going back to the
poltergeist.
poltergeist thing. Does it have to
you
come
wanna
from a
talk about
person?
poltergeist?
No, I don't. But wait, if
I'm
it's
not sure.
if it's residual, if it's energy just going in a circle and a circle
No,
and a
it's the
circle.
residual haunting.
Well, but you said it was. I could have swore I heard energy. I don't know. I'm
energy's part of it. Residual energy, residual haunt. Because I said we were talking about energy and how energy doesn't necessarily dissipate.
right.
So not poltergeist, but residual.
Okay.
energy.
Okay. I see where we're.
So haunting. So do you feel like there could be? This might even describe where people see things happening. You know what I'm saying? Like person goes to the door at 12 o'clock every other Tuesday, 10 years apart.
10 years apart. Well,
I don't know. I'm just
what are they doing for 10 years though?
fuck. It's residual. I don't know. Energy has to cycle, right? What's mathematics?
Right. Well, that's again why because well, I don't know. I am no paranormal expert, so I'm not 100%.
Neither am I.
Well,
I'm no expert about nothing.
I don't know if that's true. Everybody's an expert in something.
Mm-mm. I can drink beer, fight, and pee. That's about it.
Well, I guess you're an expert in drinking beer, fighting, and pissing.
Yes. Just something.
Well, because energy is mass and it can't be created or destroyed. And energy itself can't be created or destroyed either. But like on a more like visible, like you can see that I can't just destroy this koozie. I just can't do it. I can rip it up. I can set it on fire. I can whatever else you can imagine. I can do many things to that, but completely destroy it and make it no more and the mass that it has and all of that, just completely get rid of it. It's not possible. So, if
you can
ghosts
alter it, but you can't destroy it.
Right. So ghosts and spirits are energy, I believe they exist, but if they exist, so therefore they cannot be destroyed. So that seems reasonable that one could continually come back. It seems unreasonable that they would want to do the same exact thing every time.
Do you think
forever,
it'd be the actual? Here's what I mean. Like, it's not an intellectual energy. It's energy that just repeats itself. So it's just the energy without thought. Like something happened. It's a very movie trope kind of thing. It's the energy that happened. Like something happened, caused a big amount of energy to be in a place. Like horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen Poltergeist?
I'm not a huge horror movie fan. I spend too many times I spend too much time doing math and books. So and
So
not
hypothetically.
in what what.
So hypothetically, if there's enough of an energy charge, it can repeat itself over and over, or no? Maybe.
I don't see.
Would
I
it
mean,
dissipate?
part
Do you
of me,
think it would?
I would like to think it would dissipate, or it would transfer into something else. It would. But I guess in the perfect system, it could be. I mean, in the perfect system with absolutely no outside forces, I could spin a top forever. So, but there are outside forces, so it seems hard to believe that it could just continually do the same thing. But if it does, then it does. There's a lot of things that physics can't explain. That's definite. Physics 9 times out of 10 can't explain physics.
A lot of thought, right? Like that's
What do you mean?
guesswork. We're assuming
Well, yeah, but that's what we do. We guess
smart assumptions.
We do a hypothetical, and then we take a hypothesis, and then we try it out, and then if it's wrong, we start all over again.
But I mean, like, I know for a fact, like, if I hit someone in the face, it's going to hurt someone.
That's
Either
true.
me or them. Like,
That's true.
So there are factual.
But it's not going to hurt forever, though. That's where
Well, yeah.
it's going to dissipate. All that energy.
It's immediate repercussion.
It's going to bruise, probably, depending on the person. I would like to think it would bruise. I'd like to think you hit hard enough to bruise people, but
I don't. I have really weak hands.
But that energy that you hit with is going to it's going to dissipate. So
another question. Dang it. Then I'm looking at Dave in chat. It's late, Dave. Sleepy. Good night. All right, Dave. Good night. You're way up there in Canada, buddy. Canadian. He's all up in the Winnipeg. Our favorite Canadian. He's going that night. Poor sir. Poor sir. So, what are your thoughts on cryptids? Like, what about Bigfoot? As a scientist.
I'm
as a soon-to-be full-on scientist. You're a scientist in training. But
right.
You're a scientist.
That's
I mean,
true.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
You're a factual scientist.
I would like to think that I'm further than people that haven't done, that don't have the education that I have. I would like to think that I at least have a little merit. But yeah, I'm not a full
lab
scientist.
wearing scientist unless you're in the lab. But you're still.
I don't get the
educated.
scientist discount yet.
A scientist is a scientist, man. You use science to. I mean, technically, I guess a car salesman could be a scientist too if you break it down psychologically. But you're an actual,
There's something.
A factual scientist.
They impress me. Well, I think that. I mean, that's why I don't go to. That's a different story, but that's why
That's why I don't go to car lots.
That's exactly why I don't go to car lots. But yeah, I think Bigfoot's possible.
So we're living here in Bigfoot country.
Yeah.
What do you think about the possibility of the great ape? Can you break it down for us here?
If he's anywhere, he's probably here. I mean, he's giant, so he would probably want to be around giant trees.
Well, he's giant-ish.
He's big. He's pretty big.
Think about giant though. Giant's
he's not
a funny word.
He's not Hagrid's parents, but he's big. Well, he might be Hagrid's parents. You never seen Harry Potter? I'm not a big Harry Potter nut, but I figured that was referenceable, but I guess not.
Not for me, but some of you probably. If my co-host would have been here, he would have got that. I'm sure.
Well, that's
not
good.
for me.
Well,
no, but
regardless, Hagrid's a big dude, but he's only half giant.
See, I had a great uncle that was 7 foot tall. So
well, that's not really giant. That's just really tall.
He's
giant.
A big dude.
Well, I get that. I mean, compared to the rest of the world, he's probably giant, but he's not like. I guess he's giant-esque. But what do you imagine? Is there really a measured height for Bigfoot? If there is, I'd like to know.
Yeah, 7 to 8 feet.
78 or
7 to 8 feet.
Gave me a heart attack. I was like 78 feet. Like, he's definitely here.
No, like Gigantopithecus size. Like
7 to 8 feet. That's not that big.
Ish.
He can hide pretty much anywhere.
Yeah,
I kind of imagine Bigfoot being
consider
bigger.
this though: a bear at 7 to 8 feet outweighs us by 1,000 pounds. Not really. Probably like 600.
Still, though,
pounds.
I mean, a bear versus us a bear's a lot bigger.
But a mountain lion that is 6 foot, I'm 6'2". A mountain lion 6 foot outweighs me by 100 pounds easy.
Right.
I mean, or if they don't, it doesn't matter because the way they fight is a whole different story. So we have to consider the survival methods and what they're.
Well, I think Bigfoot's probably real, and if he is real, like
it's always him, the one.
There
has to be like
I would imagine that there was more
species,
right? But I think whenever we talk about Bigfoot, we talk about maybe a race.
Well, no, I think when people talk about Bigfoot, it's more like the Patterson-Gimlin fraud thing.
Well, I don't think it should be talked about like that because obviously Bigfoot's not going to live forever. I mean, he might be like even Chewbacca. I think I can reference him, right? That's pretty good,
right?
Chewbacca, though, I mean, even he lived to be what, like 200? Well, actually, still alive.
Checking,
so
yeah,
he's like 200 years old,
still
almost
popping off.
So, I mean, if we can imagine some Chewbacca-esque character that can live to be 200 years, regardless, he hasn't lived to be 2,000.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the legend of Bigfoot's been around that long.
But how long do great apes live, though? They have a human-like lifespan.
They do.
Longer.
I'm not. And that's
not sure
not my
about
field,
gorillas.
but
I know.
I want to say it's somewhere around between 40 to 60 years. I would think.
Yeah, like the great apes.
Seems reasonable.
And then
Like,
there's like the
and
giant chimps that they found.
The Humboldt Zoo. That ape.
Bill?
Yeah. He lived to be what,
chimpanzee?
66, 7, something like that.
Ooh, man.
He was an old
60
dude.
years old.
Yeah, he was an old dude. So
He used to throw shit at people when they'd fuck with him. Really? No, I as a kid, I'd go there and here at the Sequoia Park Zoo, the longest chimp in captivity.
yeah.
And he was awesome. He actually broke out like 2 or 3 times. And he knocked on people's doors. He broke out.
What?
Like, yeah, knocked on doors.
He's an impressive specimen.
And he was actually kind of an asshole, but who wouldn't be if you're kept in captivity
Right.
and looked at by people? But if you tease him, he'd throw shit. He'd shit in his hand and throw it at you.
And that's the oldest zoo in the state. So I would imagine they had him for a fairly long time.
It's become just.
It's not bad. It's
I
small.
hate zoos. I hate zoos, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like zoos that are there to keep animal species alive and not zoos
see what
that
you
are
mean.
there for a Barnum and Bailey kind of bullshit
So
circus.
how do you
It
feel
bugs
about
me.
like there's 4 zoos in the country that currently house pandas: Memphis, Atlanta, Washington D.C., and San Diego. How do you feel about that?
They've all bred pandas that aren't continuing to breed.
Well, those are actually, I know the Memphis, I don't know about the other 3, but the Memphis Zoo in particular, I know that their pandas are leased, I guess you could say, from China.
Yeah,
They
because
don't.
they're trying to keep the population growing.
So yeah, but how do you feel about that?
Okay, so if we're trying to save a species that we helped eradicate, I'm all for it. Whereas I don't like the idea of looking at. Okay, guys, again, I'm not some kind of soft-hearted. I like to hunt, but I also believe in the preservation of other creatures other than us, aside from mosquitoes. Fuck those assholes.
I had a conversation yesterday
This
that went
is
something like that.
Fuck mosquitoes month. But the fact is, we all have to kind of live together. But pandas, hell, we thought they were not a real thing until not too long ago. What, like the 1800s, we didn't think pandas were real, or more recently. Actually,
I was unaware of this fact.
Yeah, it's like silverback gorillas. We didn't think they were real for like.
They almost aren't.
Well,
Poor thing.
as far as we know. But
Yeah, that's
we
true. That's a
we
good point.
didn't even think pandas existed for a long time. And so when it comes to things like talking about Bigfoot and orang pandak and whatnot, like, or the coelacanth, we thought those were extinct 10,000 or 10 million years ago, whatever. And folks are finding them at a fishery in Madagascar, and suddenly, we don't know shit about our.
You talking
our
about the
world.
little the thing
The
they?
coelacanth is a fish.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Wait, no, my brain's coelacanth. Yeah, the fish.
I'm not huge about like fancy names like that. I know like the stick ant guy that was in New Zealand and then it was eradicated and they found it on Ball's Pyramid. And it wasn't just on there, it was like infested. So they had originally thought that
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know about that.
well, that happens all
That's
the time. But the thing the sad truth is that 99% of all living creatures that have ever lived on this planet are extinct.
Well, I mean, we assume so.
Well, and that goes back, nice segue, that goes back to the Fermi's paradox too.
Mm-hmm.
Is because, if 99% of the animals on our planet have gone extinct, then what's to say that, odds are not very good for life. So what's to say that, like, the other planets...
I should Google this. I'm going to feel really retarded if I said coelacanth talking about this big-ass fish, and I'm wrong.
Google it.
I talked about it before. I have my phone on me.
I don't know. I mean,
Fuck it. Correct me if I'm wrong at vanishinggates@gmail.com.
be rude about it.
Oh, be hella rude. In a nice way. But if you want to get in that drawing, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe. Let me know you did that. Man. Well, have you seen like the recent footage of the thylacine? Tasmanian tiger?
I have not.
So it might be just a trick of the cameras. The thylacine, I think I'm saying that right. You know what I'm talking about, right? The Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah.
It was the last one in captivity was like 1920-ish.
They find more?
Hypothetically, they're finding them.
What
in
does
the
that
wild.
mean? Hypothetically.
Well, the people are taking pictures and shooting video,
Oh,
but you
okay.
can't trust that crap anymore, dude.
No, you
have to
can't.
have one in like captivity or off one to make it. Like those guys that are hunting Sasquatch that are like, oh, we're gonna hunt it. Well, take a picture. Okay, well, Patterson and Gimlin made a totally fraudulent video an hour from where I live, a place I've been. Like a known con artist made a video, and people are like, oh, it's Bigfoot.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and I get irritated because I'm sure that old Squatchy is probably squanching around in the bushes. I used to not believe that at all, dude.
Old
like
Squanchy.
Squanchy,
Old Squanchy.
old Squatchy squanching. Here's what happened. So I know some people that live in that area, and I would never, after spending a ton of time in the woods out here, hunting, camping, whatnot, I never would have considered this an actuality or a possibility. And then I talked to a couple people, and one dude who I know is not, he's not cool with the BS. He doesn't talk about stuff that's unexplained or strange or different.
What's the fun in that?
Right? He's not a fun person. But he straight looks at me and goes, no, they're fucking real, dude. Yeah, a weird conversation in a weird place. Like, no, they're fucking real. We were hunting, and here's what happened. Gave me an account when he was hunting. I'm like, well, shit. I better backtrack and backpedal. And the fact is, I started looking at the maps in the wilderness, and most of North America, where we live, is uninhabited.
Well, you can say,
I mean, no, Canada's Northern America.
Right.
North.
Well, most of Canada's uninhabited, too.
I guess we're Middle America. Well, yeah, they see a lot of
what is there,
squatches
like
there, too.
30 million people?
This is a ridiculous sized country.
Yeah, well, they say, I don't know, and 30 million people? I mean, there's more people in California.
Yeah. There's more people in L.A. than Canada, probably.
I don't think that's
probably not true.
That's not true.
I'm kidding.
It's 10% though, at least.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's just in city limits too. That's not even counting the metropolitan area.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about it like, well, how are they hiding? There's caves and shit.
There's
and trees.
Vast amount of places that they could hide.
And people are like asking, well, what about they stand up and walk on two legs? I'm like, and the great apes can do that. Bears can do that. Why can't they walk on four legs? Why can't they run?
Hell, dogs can do that.
Hell yeah.
No.
I can do that sometimes. Like, the fact is, how do you know they don't, like, duck and run? The great apes move faster on four legs than two legs. We are the folks that don't do that.
Yeah.
We are the species of the, quote...
There are those really weird people that walk on four legs. I forget. There was a 60 Minutes thing. I don't really watch much 60 Minutes because I'm not old.
I don't have an hour of my time.
But they did some documentary on these people that walk on all fours, and it was just...
It's awkward and weird,
It was
though.
eerily disturbing to watch the video.
Yeah,
what little I watched.
But we're talking about if we're supposed to be a great ape and we walk dominantly on two legs. Most apes do not. They use their knuckles, too.
I don't totally believe that we're apes.
I don't either, but that's not the point.
Oh well,
We're
I mean,
talking about the evolutionary standpoint.
Yeah,
and the difference.
I'm not a pro evolution guy. Even though like 90% of what I do is in science, I don't. The evolution's still a theory. So
it is a theory.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of theories that I believe, but there's a lot that I don't too. And
I always find it weird that pigs have closer hearts to us than monkeys.
I find it strange that mice have closer livers to us than like everything else, basically. Like, who thinks? Really? I feel like, yeah, but I also feel like it's just scientists wanting to experiment on more than mice. So they're like, yeah, they're close.
Oh no, mice are just like us. We need a grant.
Plus, they're cheap. Poor things.
Poor
So bad. I used to have pet rats, so I have a feel for the.
I would feel worse for them if they didn't be so them.
Dickish. They ate my curtains. I had them too close to my curtains. They ate the whole curtain.
Maybe buy less tasty curtains, dude.
I guess so. I should have.
You have to.
I should have known
wrap
better.
Your life around how the mice feel.
I should have known better.
So we've covered Bigfoot, ghosts, and the possibility of aliens and multi-dimensional things.
Hmm.
What about the Loch Ness Monster?
I think it's there. I think it's totally unreasonable to think that it couldn't be there.
You
We've
think
explored.
Nessie's there?
I think that we have explored like this much of our ocean. So I know that
Yeah,
we've
but-
explored the Loch Ness. I know that we've.
That's not the ocean.
I know, but it is. It's connected though, is it not? It's
No.
not. It's landlocked totally,
It was,
but only by just a.
well,
just a
hypothetically, there might
glimmer.
be some tunnels, but it was also during that period of time, according to scientists, it was covered in ice, much like a Vanilla Ice song.
A lot of the Earth was covered in ice at one point, and I could swear I read somewhere. I could be wrong. Again, no expert, but I could have swore that I read somewhere that at one point, although it's landlocked now, it wasn't at one point. And it's not unreasonable to think that Nessie went in there and then was just chilling and then chilled for a long
But
time.
you have to have a breeding population, though.
What if
sturgeon can live for a few hundred years?
What if Nessie was preggers? What if Nessie had a baby?
Well, what are they going to eat?
Whatever's in the Loch Ness area-ish, whatever. I mean, what you can't tell me there's like, is there no fish in there? There's no anything?
There's not a lot, actually.
Probably because they're eating it all.
Well, the first picture was a surgeon that put his kid's boat out with a cutout. So, kind of an asshole.
People are assholes, and I'm a total idiot when it comes to stuff
Now,
like that.
The Champ thing, that's a little different because the Champ picture is a little harder to debunk. Lake Champlain, there's a picture of one of these.
One of those?
And I tried to debunk this in high school, and they're like, no, they did research. This is not what it is. It looks just like this with an ocean backdrop or a Champlain backdrop. So probably not real either. Sorry, folks.
It's a shame.
I hate to break it down, but the fact is, everything we believe is probably not real.
Not everything.
I have to play a Josh thing because Jack's not here. So I have to be my co-host because he's not.
You have to be two people.
You
can barely be one.
I can never be one. I've never been one ever. I'm just an old Irish guy. Can't help myself. I'm not even Irish. I'm American. Irish stock. I wouldn't even be boiled down into a good stew.
Is that so?
Probably.
There's probably a parallel universe where you were boiled down into.
Right?
If seasoned properly, maybe.
But the mathematics behind that, I would never encounter that universe.
Never know. Well, you wouldn't. Well,
I might.
It's hard to look at it like that.
So, what do you think about the missing 411 thing? Have you ever heard about that?
The what?
The missing 411? Like the people that go missing in the national parks with no explanation whatsoever?
I mean, just as much as everybody else does. I mean, like, people go missing all the
Heard
time.
this at all?
I don't think so.
So there's a guy who used to be a cop, David Polides. He was a detective. And a bunch of people approached him and said, hey, what's up with all these missing people in national parks? Like, rangers came up and asked him. And so he had this series of things after investigating. They wanted to charge him tons and tons of money to find out who they were. Like, well, we don't keep a list. The national parks is like, we don't keep a list.
They don't keep a list of the people that go missing?
Yeah. And then they're like, he called more people. They're like, oh, well, we do, but you're going to have to pay us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And they didn't want to talk about it.
That's just a fee to make up a new list.
But there's always huckleberries involved or something.
There's always everything involved in everything. You can't, especially national park. Don't get me wrong, I love the nation's national parks, but
Same.
It's still tied to the government, which no problems with the government here, except for the fact that I don't trust anybody.
We love the government.
We do love the government.
We love the government. The government is awesome. The government is awesome. Please don't kill us. We love you.
I don't trust anybody.
I love you.
So.
Me either. All right. So, what's the craziest thing you've come across in your life as a scientist? What's the most inexplicable thing scientifically
I guess wormholes, probably.
Well, I mean, in your personal life.
Oh, okay.
Unless you found a wormhole and
Shh.
like hanging out.
Talk about that later. No. I don't know. Most everything that I have experienced can be, other than like the paranormal, like ghosts and stuff like
Well,
that, like that dog eating the deer and stuff like that. Most everything else I can be like, oh, that
Dog
makes
eating a deer.
sense.
Snoopy ate a deer. That's paranormal in Kentucky is different than paranormal in California.
That's the episode of Charlie Brown you did not see.
God, no one wants to see it, or
I'm sure some people do. Have you seen there's like a cult following of My Little Pony? I'm pretty sure somebody would watch Snoopy eat a deer.
I'm aware. God, fan fiction is the worst fiction. There should be. I'm not much on government encroachment, but when it comes to fan fiction, there should be a list. Some folks need to be monitored heavily.
I agree.
Always worried there's a Vanishing Gates fan fiction. So glad there's not.
That you know of.
Actually,
internet's a big place.
I have to retract that because I have always been trying to bug my brother about the Vin Diesel fan fiction.
I didn't know he
trying to. No, he doesn't. But I've been trying to start that because,
Because why not? I mean,
he's a big fan of Vin Diesel, and I was always trying to instigate a fight between him and Vin Diesel, or erotic fan fiction.
Start a fight. That's smart. Start a fight with Vin Diesel of all people.
Or tummy swords, whatever. Not with me, him. That's not my fault. My fight. So, what do you think about the Hadron Collider?
I have no comment.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I have no problems with it. I'm not like those people that are like, oh, they're opening another dimension. They're creating a black hole. The entire world's going to get swallowed and exploded. And
it's like the hydrogen bomb. Oh, it's going to keep going indefinitely. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no. We've talked about energy transferring and other things, but not being destroyed and all that stuff. So it's like people got to understand that where there is a beginning, there will be an end. And the Large Hadron Collider is just a way for us to try to understand the Big Bang a little more.
So what do you think is going to happen if they actually recreate it?
The Big Bang?
Yeah.
I think it's I think that's a bit impossible to create. See, the thing is that the Big Bang was if it occurred. I think that it probably did. I think that that's the most reasonable way that the universe could have been made. Now,
I'll lean more towards intelligent creation.
Oh, no, I do. No. I think that intelligent creation spawned this and did this. I think that it's a scientific way to explain something that we can't explain. But, so I've jumped off topic now. But I think that they can't recreate it because the Big Bang was all of the energy that is in the universe. So we are just this little speck. We've talked about that. We've talked about how big the universe is. So we are just that little teeny tiny speck. There's no possible way that we could create enough energy to make a new Big Bang. Or we could have enough energy. Because the forces that those particles would have to come together to do that, it's just
astronomical.
It's
literally
it's unthinkable. It's impossible.
But we're trying to do it in a tube in Switzerland. Which is...
I don't think they're trying to recreate the Big Bang. They just want to study it. And that's the closest way that they can do it, rather than go back in time.
So everyone's freaking out. It's kind of tripping.
Everybody's always tripping.
If you guys are worried about the Large Hadron Collider destroying the universe, that's what I mean.
There is no concern.
Don't worry.
It will be fine.
Calm your tits.
The worst thing that could happen is that they create a teeny tiny black hole, or wormhole.
Actually, that's a little more... mortifying.
That was supposed to sound sarcastic. It's possible.
Oh, good. I'm glad your sarcasm would doom us all to death.
I wouldn't think that that's impossible, but it's pretty improbable.
Did you see that picture of? Oh, they took a picture of the black hole. Well, you didn't. You got a picture of the event horizon. That's not a black hole.
We don't. Well, that's as far as we know of a black hole. I've got two, though. Where's the restroom?
In the house.
I'm gonna have.
That's fine. All right. I'm gonna let you
appreciate it.
Move by me if you can. Oh God, I don't know. I don't have a Large Hadron Collider.
Lean forward.
Lean forward.
Oh, that works too.
All right, so our scientist guest is going to come back, hopefully after he pisses or gets lost in the ether. Oh yeah, there you go. Super high-end studio. Anyhow, guys, this is great. We're talking about science and the unexplained and the paranormal and large hadron colliders and whatnot. We have been doing this show for an hour and 19 minutes now. This is episode 96. Thank you guys for watching. We're doing a giveaway here pretty soon, our 100th episode. If you guys like, follow, share, subscribe, and show us what you're doing, we will be giving a $100 gift card to the first drawing winner and two $50 gift cards to the second and third. Don't worry about the numbers. You're still number one in my heart. Love you. Anyhow, I am Jay. This has been Vanishing Gates. For Jack, wherever he's at, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye, guys.